Welcome to the third video in the TechSpecs series. With this demonstration we're going to take a look at the TechSpecs flyover structures program. As with the other programs, when you first open it up you can see this sheet information page, which obviously gives you the detailed information of each particular page, and once again you can change any of these details to suit your requirements. You can add photos, all those types of things as per the other programs. We'll just quickly go through a basic flat flyover patio. Once again, it gives you the basics of how the entire program works. As with the other programs, we need to select our geographic region, our wind category and our coefficient. From there we simply select a bracket type. Now we've got roof extended brackets and a couple of TechSpecs designed brackets. If we start off with a roof extended bracket, you'll see it gives us the bracket's tie down capacity, and it also gives us the bracing capacity. Now you see this is probably a little bit of a, not a failing of a roof extender bracket, but it's certainly the most limiting factor. You'll see it only has 0.07 kilonewtons of bracing capacity. If we select one of the TechSpecs brackets, we'll see our tie down capacity goes from 3.6 to 6.2 kilonewtons, which is a reasonable increase. But our bracing capacity goes from 0.07 kilonewtons up to 0.45, which does make a massive difference when you're designing these flyover type structures. From there we select our footing type. Once again, it has the same footings in here as the other programs, except it doesn't have timber decks. Obviously we can't get a bracing capacity in both directions by bolting a post down to a timber deck. Same post heights from 2.4 up to 4 metres as we have in the other programs, and once again we can use a base plate and fixings, or we can cast our posts into a footing. From there we select our roof sheet and some dimensions into our patio. So we'll make it 8 metres by 4 metres. Once again we can have overhangs on the ends if we so desire. We'll select one central post. So across the front we've got a total patio width of 9 metres with 3 posts. We've got a total projection of 4 metres. We could put an overhang on the front, maybe a smaller overhang on the back, as we're already in over the existing house roof. And if we select one central bracket in here, the same as we did with the posts at the front, you'll see next to that it tells us that it's okay. If we were lacking either bracing or tie down, it would tell us in that cell. So you'll see our bracket capacity at either end, or the required tie down at either end, is 3.78 kilonewtons, and in the centre it's 6.05. All of those numbers are less than the tie down capacity of our bracket, so that's okay. It also tells us in this cell if there's bracing required, in which case we can just continue to select more brackets until we have OK in this cell. Select our beam. We'll stick with roll form beam again, and you'll see we only need a 140 by 50 front and back, and we need an 89 by 3.5 SHS steel post. You see there it just tells us a steel SHS post. If we select a base plate and fixings, it tells us it's a steel SHS post and base plate, so obviously they both have to be steel. If this was a very small structure in an N1 wind area, for example, there is an option available in here to use a 90 by 90 by 2 mil aluminium post, but obviously it has to be a pretty small structure for that to work. Put in our customer details as usual. And you'll see we have design correct. As with the other programs, if you leave anything on select, or for example if we now try and take this bracket out of here, you'll see we can put a bigger beam in, which will solve that problem, but you'll see that we now require tie down because these capacities here and here are greater than the tie down capacity of our bracket. So by adding one more bracket, all of those capacities are now less than our bracket, and our design is back to correct. So that's a basic simple flat patio. If we go to the second option in the program, flap option 2, you'll see once again it's exactly the same patio as one of the other programs. It now has a central beam, and with this one the only small difference is, and I'll quickly fill out some of this basic detail just to get us up and going. With this particular program, we'll make this a little bit smaller. If we select a coefficient of 1 or more over there, we can select either to have posts either end of our central beam, or we can select to have brackets. If the load at this end is greater than the load capacity of our bracket, our design would go into incorrect, and we would have to select the option of having posts. Other than that, it's exactly the same as with the other flap programs and with this previous page. All the detail is the same. Once we've got all our dimensions in, selected our beam, selected our post, and put in our customer details, we'll get design correct. You can obviously have overhangs at either end of your beams. You can have roof sheet overhangs front and back. All of those things are the same. The only option, like I said, is with those options here. If the coefficient is 0.7, which is telling us that the existing house only runs along one edge of our flyover patio, then there's no option to use brackets on our central post, because obviously the house is not coming out this way anywhere. But once we use a coefficient of 1 or 1.2, we are then given the option to use brackets at these locations. Basically, quick and easy way of designing a flyover flat patio. And once again, with the use of the central beam, these can turn out to be quite large areas that you can design using this system. The third option is the point load beams, like we've seen in the other two programs. Everything here works exactly the same. As you add dimensions to these cells, it continues to format the page for you. I guess the one small difference with this, and we might just do 2 sections, and I'll just quickly fill this out again so that I can explain this little difference on this program, or this page I should say. If the load at this point here gets too high for our bracket, and we'll just might change these dimensions and see if that does it for us. Okay, you'll see now that's gone to 6.72 kilonewtons, which is more than that. It just now tells us to use a twin bracket. In other words, we can fix one bracket on either side of that beam, and then this beam across the back will support that load. So it just gives you that option, rather than being restricted to the single bracket capacity. That will give you up to 12.4 kilonewtons at that point and still provide the required tie down and the required bracing. As with some of the other things in this program, the details of that single or twin bracket can be found in the Tex-Mex Engineering Design Manual. But other than that little difference there, the program, or this page of the program, works exactly the same as each of the other flat patio programs. There is also an option in this program to design large gable patios as flyovers. Obviously this is not something that I can see anybody doing on a regular basis, but the option is available. And obviously you can design just this gable as a flyover, or you can add a flat section on one side or the other. And as with the page we just looked at the moment, a moment ago, with these twin brackets at this point load location, the same thing will happen here. If once you've done all your design over here and this capacity here or here is greater than the bracket capacity of the bracket you've chosen, it will give you the option there to just use a twin bracket. And you'll see, like the other pages, and obviously we haven't filled anything out here on this page, but you'll see up the top here it's telling you that bracing is required. So until you actually select all your post sizes and add your bracketry and all that type of thing, if If there's bracing required, it'll show up here, or if there's tie down required, that will show up the top there. And in either of those instances, whether it's tie down or bracing, your design will remain incorrect until you've resolved that issue. So that's a basic rundown of the flyover structures program. There's obviously the beam weights program page rather on the end of the program for the same reasons as before, just in case somebody wants to design something with some big massive beam or a twin roll form beam or something like that. It gives you the ability to be able to quickly determine the weight of that particular beam, just I guess from the builder's point of view. Once again, each page has a reset function, which is zero the whole page out for you if you happen to save it with all your details in it. You can actually go along, reset the entire program back to zero, and you can resave it if you happen to have saved it with all the information in it. Each of these pages can be printed out as a spec sheet, as with the other ones. The footer on the bottom explains which program it came from and who certified the program and all that basic information that was there before. Thanks again for watching, and once again, if you have any questions or queries, I can be contacted on 0437 851 445. Thanks for watching.